Hi, welcome to another behind the scenes look at becoming retail, where we're diving into the research that we've done on retail leadership during digital transformation. We conducted a survey of 500 retail and brand executives in August, and we've asked them all about different things regarding leadership in digital transformation. However, a survey can really only take you so far, which is why we've been complementing those results with interviews with retail executives. And one of the questions that we've been asking them is, how do you get buy-in for digital transformation? And so we are excited to share some of the answers that we've received. And I know, Rob, you had a great interview with Eileen Rizzo.
I did. Yeah, Eileen is the CIO of Ashley Stewart, and she offered some really great perspective on what it takes to really ensure or at least lead to a successful digital transformation. And the one word really is change, and recognizing that change is difficult and different people embrace change differently. So she constantly thinks about how change impacts different parts of the organization, whether that is on the IT side, the business side, and even within the business side, what it looks like across marketing, merchandising, digital, and beyond. And, she really tries to think about how will the team embrace the strategy? How will they execute it? And finally, how is everybody measuring success, both as an organization, but down to the individual? Because of course, incentives drive in many cases change and behavior.
Yes, she was a wealth of knowledge, and I really appreciated her sort of 3 tips on how to enable change successfully to do a transformational project. And the first is simply perseverance, right? You need to have grit and persistence to undergo such an undertaking, right? Digital transformation isn't easy. There will be many bumps along the way. So you need to be able to persevere. And the second piece of advice is to focus on the facts, particularly around the customer, right? Customers now have so many choices that you need to make sure that you're executing on what the customer wants from your company. And third is the knowledge that you're working towards an organizational goal, a company goal, right? You cannot be thinking in silos. And that really speaks to the point that you brought up, that it needs to be an organization-wide transformation, and you need to be thinking broadly and not just what's good for your division or your incentives. It needs to be a whole, there needs to be the buy-in from the whole organization, and you always need to be aware of that. Now, Rob, you've been a trusted digital advisor when it comes to transformation for quite some time. What advice would you give, or what have you found to work on behalf of your clients?
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. 2 things come to mind. First of all is communication, and the second is involvement by the business. And so let me take communication for a minute. When I was running strategy at IBM for the retail practice, we were doing a large transformational initiative at one of the largest department store retailers in the country here in the States. And I would say probably 50% of our time was focused on change management and communication. That communication came in a lot of different forms. I mean, the CEO, the COO, and the CIO were intimately involved in this initiative, and they would do town halls very frequently. And then there was other forms of communication as well, down to teams and individuals, really to show the executive alignment, the executive leadership, and communicating on a regular basis. The second one is involvement by the business. I'm actually the executive sponsor of a large specialty retailer, obviously cross-channel at this point in the US, and they're about to launch in the next about 6 weeks their next generation of commerce on actually Salesforce Commerce Cloud. And what they've done is they have scheduled in more than 2 months of user acceptance and training. I mean, I lived this at Lids, scrambling at the last hour, making sure that the service agents are all set and that we can put the right pricing and promotions in the system. Led by the chief experience officer, they decided to weave in 2 months of this. And really, it comes down to change and making sure the business, who themselves are going from a more analog way of thinking to more of a digital way of thinking, to embrace this change, get excited about the features, feeling comfortable with really walking in and out and weaving through the application. So again, my experience, I would say communication and involvement in the business and getting people excited really helps drive the success of what are oftentimes large and long digital transformation projects. So with that said, Michelle, thanks for leading us through another episode here of behind the scenes of Becoming Retail. I appreciate everybody following along and really tracking our journey to Becoming Retail.